Call to order this regular meeting of the Monument Town Council, Monday, May 19th. Please rise for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Ms. Erickson, can you take roll, please?
Councilmember Chronic.
Here.
Member Kimple.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem King.
Here.
Councilmember Fiorito.
Here.
Mayor LaKind.
Here.
And Councilmember Abbott is absent today.
Okay, first up, disclosures of conflicts of interest. Becca, do we have any disclosures?
There are none this week.
Thank you. And we have an agenda and a consent agenda. Any modifications to the agenda or consent agenda
I'd like to make a modification to the minutes
in the consent agenda?
in the consent agenda.
Okay.
So we had some technical difficulties at the May 5th meeting. So I would like to just put something on record that isn't on the minutes. I just made a statement, so I'll read it. I would like to include in the record my reason for a negative vote on resolution 28-2025, creating larger lots by combining smaller lots at the Terrazzo Baja commercial development, because my reasoning will most likely come up in the future land use applications on this site. I voted no on the resolution after public conversation with the applicant and planning director on my concerns about creating large lots from previously smaller sizes. My concern is that increasing the average of each lot would invite more warehouse applications, while maintaining the current sizes would promote smaller uses. I stated that the citizens don't want any more warehouse space and that warehouses don't provide sufficient sales tax revenue or property tax revenue, and that we have enough of them already. The applicant stated that larger lot sizes were what the market desired. However, I wanted potential buyers to combine lots and create a larger parcel, asking permission from the council on a case-by-case basis, not the other way around, of creating smaller lots from larger lots, which is unlikely. Mr. Ungerleiter, the planning director, made the statement that the applicant heard me and that we would be able to approve or deny future PUD applications. My intention was to make sure we don't relinquish town power over lots that were created as smaller lots only a few years ago. That's it.
Okay, so with that modification being read in, I think the ask is to have those minutes removed, have them modified, and then resubmitted at the next meeting. Okay, any other modifications to the consent agenda? Okay, then I will look for a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda as modified.
Second.
We have a motion and a second, Ms. Erickson. Let's see the votes. Hang on a second, I'm on the wrong screen. I have to pull up the display page. There we go. Everybody get their vote in? You already displayed it? And I assume it passed?
Wow.
I didn't see it. Okay, how about the agenda? Any modifications to the agenda?
None. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second.
All right, that motion, both motions pass 5-0. All right, next up, we have a proclamation, National Public Works Week. Mr. Tharnish. Oh, he comes bearing gifts.
Good evening, Council. The proclamation in front of you today is to recognize May 18th through the 24th as National Public Works Week. And I know you're going to read the proclamation into the minutes and all, but I wanted to take just a minute to recognize some of our water operators based on a recent event, and just to give an idea of their experience, their dedication to what they do. Well, actually, let me call them up right now. There's two of them in here today. So Seth and John, come on up. So on Monday, May 5th, Water Department responded to reports of a major water break near the intersection of Mitchell and Cynthies. Upon arrival, they discovered a large amount of water coming out of the ground. I mean, the pictures I saw were about 2 feet above grade, which is unusual for most breaks that we see. And there's pretty much destroyed the westbound lane of Cynthies Boulevard. Operators quickly shut down the main in that area to assess the damage and start the process of repairing what was broken. By the time the go-ahead was given that the area was clear of utility interferences, it had begun to rain steadily. The rain lasted through the night, sometimes in heavy squalls. I was out there for, I think, a little after midnight, and it was, I can definitely tell you, it was pretty good, pretty heavy rain. During the excavation of the site, it was discovered that a section of the main was split about 20 to 25 feet of an 8-inch line, which is unusual. Most of our breaks are a little smaller. This one stretched the entire length of a stick of pipe. Also complicating that break was the piping material was something we had not encountered in the past. Therefore, we had to send someone to Colorado Springs, I think at 9:30 that night, just to get the gaskets and things that we didn't know were needed. Once the parts were obtained, the crew worked efficiently and replaced that section of the water main, pressure tested and restored water service about 12:30 in the morning. The last few hours were there to refill the big hole. We had a hole that was probably 30 feet long and about 10 to 12 feet wide. Pretty massive hole compared to previous breaks. Crew was out about 18, 19 hours on this break, and their dedication to duty and ability to work together is another fine example of teamwork. So thank you for listening. This is just one example of what the water department does and public works department. We usually have street guys that do a lot of work with snow plowing. Water guys have a lot of issues when it comes to water breaks. And just want you to know that they always get that task completed, and their team member dedication is demonstrated each and every day. So what I'd like to do is just pass out some certificates of appreciation to the ones I have here. There's 6 members in water department, but some of them are out on vacation, some are off for different reasons. All right, so the first one I want to do is Seth. So in recognition of your outstanding dedication and service to the town of Monument during the major water break that occurred on Monday, May 5th, lasting until Tuesday morning on May 6th, we appreciate all that you do. And then something that I thought was really cool, actually, we have our standard certificate of appreciations, which is pretty much a form, but we have another one. It's called awesomeness. Okay. Yes, you are that awesome. Every so often, someone does something so amazing, so epic, monumental, awesome, that it needs to be recognized in front of a roaring crowd of adoring fans. This is your cue. This is the moment when you finally get the credit for your hard work, great attitude, and in general, just being awesome. And it's signed by a really important person. That would be me. So here's your 2 certificates.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. And thanks for all your work. And let's see, John. Okay, John, you can step up.
Did you give one to John for finding the water shut-off valve in my front yard?
I guess that would be.
That hole
another
was about
certificate,
12 feet
right?
deep and 10 feet wide too.
So anyway, congratulations, same certificate, and thanks for all you do. And you want to say a word?
Yeah, I just wanted to say something here. So yeah, we got called out that day and my operator had let me know that there was a huge pressure drop. So we started looking for the main and see where it was broken. El Paso County Dispatch had called and the fire department was already on scene of what they assumed was water break, judging by all the water and the asphalt chipped up everywhere. So they were there first. They asked what, what they could do for us. And we just said, nothing. We'll get this handled. You guys can get out of here. Next, I had, police show up and ask what they could do, and which I told them the same thing. Like, we got this handled. You guys, if things get crazy, you can come back. After that, I had calls from Parks Department, Streets Department, facilities came by. Ron came by with his years of knowledge to tell me what he thought about everything going on. But I know that, the guys in the streets and parks would have come out there and traded places with us in an instant. I had admin ladies from the front office reaching out all day. Do you guys need anything? Do you need, us to bring you food? Tom Martinez came out and helped us with some traffic control. So, this may be going to us, but this was a huge team effort and everyone kind of pulls through for us every time we have something like this. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thank
All
you.
right, thank you. So we're going to read off the proclamation, but thank you to the town staff, especially how all the departments came together and checked up on you guys, make sure if you needed anything. I think that's fantastic. And Tom, thanks for driving around and making sure traffic was under control. I was following you this morning, by the way.
Okay, proclamation to recognize May 18th through May 24th as National Public Works Week. Whereas public works professionals focus on infrastructure, facilities, and services that are of vital importance to sustainable and resilient communities and to public health, high quality of life, and well-being of the people of Monument. And whereas these infrastructure, facilities, and services could not be provided without the dedicated efforts of public works professionals who are engineers, managers, and employees at all levels of government and the private sector who are responsible for rebuilding, improving, and protecting our nation's transportation, water supply, water treatment, and solid waste systems, public buildings, and other structures and facilities essential for our citizens. And whereas it is in the public interest for the citizens, civic leaders, and children in Monument to gain knowledge of and maintain an ongoing interest and understanding of the importance of public works and public works programs in their respective communities. And whereas the year 2025 marks the 65th Annual National Public Works Week, sponsored by the American Public Works Association / Canadian Public Works Association, be it now, therefore, the Monument Town Council hereby proclaims May 18th through May 24th, 2025 as National Public Works Week in the town of Monument, and urge all citizens to join with representatives of the American Public Works Association and government agencies in activities, events, and ceremonies designed to pay tribute to our public works officials, engineers, managers, and employees, and to recognize the substantial contributions they make to protecting our national health, safety, and advancing quality of life for all. Proclaimed this 19th day of May, 2025.
Thank you. Okay,
May I say a few words about Public Works Week?
by all means.
Since Tom Martinez is in the room, I did want to take the opportunity to recognize him for building the pedestrian crossing over the railroad. We've been working on that with the railroad for many, many, many years, and through his persistence, he was able to accomplish that project. And it's been such a nice addition to getting residents from the west side to our downtown. And I just really wanted to recognize his efforts on that.
Okay, I will have to go take a look at it Any railroad workers harmed in the making of that?
No, there's one that I wanted to.
Doesn't count.
Okay,
And I also hear that that saved quite a bit of permit fee money.
It
to
did.
the-
The railroad had told us originally it'd be around $50,000 just in permits, just in reviewing drawings. So Tom was able to work something out with the railroad, so we didn't have to go through that expense.
Nice job, Tom.
nice job, Tom. Yep.
Well done.
Okay, next up, we have an executive session. We are going to do that in this room. It should not take long. And we will be coming back after that executive session has completed. Would anybody like to make a motion for the executive session?
I'll make a motion to move into executive session pursuant to 24-6-402 sub 4 sub B CRS for a conference with the town attorney to receive legal advice on specific legal questions and pursuant to 24-6-402 sub 4 sub E CRS to determine positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiation, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators both regarding town manager employment agreement.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. And that motion passes 5-0. So if we could have everybody who's not the attorney and town manager temporarily vacate the room, we will call you back in here shortly. Okay, we are back from our executive session. It was a hard-fought battle, but I believe we have come to an agreement, a mutual understanding, meeting of the minds. I'm sorry, Eric. There are some things that you're not getting. She tried. She was very, very valiant effort. Anyway, do I have a motion to approve the employment agreement as presented with the slight modification of a typo being corrected?
I so move.
Motion-
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the employment agreement. Who clicked abstain? Just kidding.
Better not.
All right, motion passes 5-0. And who would like to make the next motion?
I will make a motion to appoint Madeline Van Den Hoek, town manager, subject to the employment agreement just approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. That motion passes 5-0. All that's left, Ms. Van Den Hoek, is to take the oath of office, which will be done front and center in front of everybody to see by our illustrious town clerk. Just hop over.
You're gonna call the family by herself?
A family is more than welcome to,
Yes.
of course.
Stand by her side. You're a part of this process as well?
Is there anything to pin on her with a sharp?
Love pin.
Yeah, you got that.
Go to the police department to get some stuff.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I I, Madeline Vanderhook, affirm that I will support the United States Constitution,
affirm that I will support the United States Constitution,
the Colorado Constitution,
the Colorado Constitution,
and the Town of Monument Charter,
and the Town of Monument Charter,
the ordinances of the town,
the ordinances of the town,
and will faithfully perform
and will faithfully perform
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of town manager
of town manager
upon which I am about to enter.
upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
Beach. Official action is?
Yes.
Get rid of that interim stuff.
Really want me to say something?
Yeah.
I think it's appropriate.
First official function is come back here and go.
Well, I would just really like to take a moment to thank my family, the town council and staff for supporting me this past year and the past almost 12 years with my employment with the town. I'm really looking forward to leading the organization and our community into a really bright future and ensuring that we are not only the best place to work, but also the best place to live, have a business, and play. So thank you all again for your support. And thank you for your support. I'm sorry, I can't have my back to both places. So thank you.
The salt mines.
I feel like I'm not doing
Okay. Well, the first official act that you have apparently is a resolution. A resolution adopting a 2026 through 2028 strategic priorities.
Well, good evening, Council. As you know, we have been working hard. You especially have been working really hard on our strategic plan. And the next step in our strategic planning efforts is to adopt the strategic priorities. So Mr. John Trelch will be leading this presentation and going over those priorities with you.
Well, good evening, Mayor and Council, and how exciting, Madeline. Congratulations. A lot of great stuff going on in this meeting this evening. So how fitting, just as when I came to see you all here in January, I remember some of you had taken your oath of office and then you voted immediately to adopt your vision statement for the town of Monument. And now Madeline's here this evening, another big vote appointing her as the town administrator. And now you're going to talk about the next big portion of your strategic planning process, which is the adoption of strategic priorities. So we'll wait for the presentation to come up here in a moment. I don't have any good jokes to share or tricks to perform, so I'll just have to wait for my slides. Well, while those are pulling up, I'll go ahead and proceed, and we'll just jump forward when they come up. So before we talk about strategic priorities this evening, I always like to back up and kind of remind ourselves what we're doing here in the first place. For those of you who don't know me, my name is John Trelch, and I am a strategic planning consultant who was retained by the town of Monument to help the Monument community develop a new strategic plan.
The intention of this strategic plan is to develop a simple, focused, and accountable strategy that will take Monument into the future and help it realize its vision, which was adopted in the beginning of this year. The strategic plan and the process that we're following has three core elements. One, the first and most important element is the vision. That is really what strategy and strategic plans are all about, is determining what is your vision and putting you on a path to realizing that vision. The second big element of this strategic planning approach are strategic priorities. Oh, there's the slides. Here we go. Okay. The second large portion is the strategic priorities, and that's what we're here to discuss this evening. So when I mentioned before about what are the approach that we're taking, developing a simple, focused, and accountable strategic plan, the priorities is where that element of focus really comes into play. Local governments have so much that they have to accomplish, but we also know that great organizations that have the ability to focus, and that if everything is a priority, nothing is a priority. So in this strategic planning approach, when we arrive at the strategic priorities, we really ask the council, the elected leaders, to make the hard decisions to pick what priority guidance that they will give to the town and that they will communicate to the community, that they will focus on over the span of the strategic plan, which in this case is from the years 2026 through 2028. And that guidance will then be codified in these priorities and then conveyed to the town staff, which will then develop the third element of your strategic plan, which are objectives and goals that we'll talk about later. Okay, so now the slides are up. We'll get back on track here. So we already talked about our large goal. Okay, strategic priorities, that's what we're discussing this evening.
Is that working?
It's working slowly.
Just tell me next slide.
Next slide. Okay. Now we're caught up. So let's talk about again what a strategic priority is. We talked about the focus element. So the strategic priority is prioritize policy guidance. Council will focus on for the next 3 years, and in this case from 2026 to 2028. The strategic priorities are directly informed by the vision statement, which again is the most important element of your strategic plan and that you adopted back in January. The strategic priorities provide that policy guidance to the town staff, who will then develop specific action items that we'll call strategic objectives. These are the things that they'll actually get done to address these priorities that the town council will be providing them and that will be conveyed in your strategy. Okay, next slide. Okay. So in February, we had a city council work session and where we went through a process to discuss which of the strategic priority areas you wanted to focus on. And then after selecting those 4 areas, we went through additional collaboration with council and developed the actual strategic priority language. So all of you, I believe, have reviewed these 4 priorities. As you'll see up there on the screen, there's just 2 very minor modifications that were the result of the various meetings that we had, just slight word changes. The content of the priority language didn't really change, or the context. Next slide. So there's just a clean version here. These are the priorities that I would recommend that City Council adopt this evening by resolution. One note at the bottom here that's very important to note is that these priorities are not in priority order. They're not numbered 1 through 4. So each one is equal. So while they're listed there, they each carry equal weight. What's important about these priorities to consider this evening for adoption is that this does constitute your guidance as the most important 4 items that the town should be focused on through 2028 as part of your strategic plan. So pending your questions or discussion regarding these priorities, I would recommend that you approve the resolution. Next slide. If you adopt the strategic priorities this evening by resolution, just wanted to speak a minute about what the next portion, the next element is. That's going to be the development of strategic objectives. The strategic objectives are those action items, the things that the town are going to get done to support the strategic priorities that are being proposed this evening. Those strategic objectives will be largely crafted and put together by your staff. That's why up there on the slide, you see that line there in between priorities and objectives that shows town council policy guidance and then town administrative action. So this will, those objectives will be the response to these priorities that you approve this evening, if you approve them. So again, subject to your questions, that's all that I have for this evening, and I do recommend that you approve the resolution.
Gee, how do you feel about that? Because I heard you say that 3 or 4 times.
I recommend you approve the resolution.
Well, this whole thing has been an amazing exercise to go through. I know it's taken us some time to do it. It's taken the town 145 years to do it, thereabouts. I appreciate your guidance. I appreciate Mayor Thompson for introducing it to us and introducing us to you from Fountain. Are there any questions or comments from the council?
Just one. If we go back to the 4 strategic priorities. On the third one, enable responsible community development. Could be a play on words. Just my humble recommendation. It says establish clear and accountable plans, processes, and procedures that create, instead of the word that, which is restrictive, use the word which, meaning non-restrictive. That's all I see.
It's a grammar issue.
Well, it's like I said, to play on words, but that's all. I like it. I do. Don't get me wrong. Those 2 play on words, those 2 words have different meaning.
That discussion is up to council.
I like it the way it is.
I'm good with it.
We've all had our chance to meet with him to change. Some of the words got changed already. I don't have an issue with it. It's not confusing to me.
Mhm.
Thanks for all the work. The strategic meetings, I forget the team meetings were
Great.
yeah, they were great, very informative, very educational. And yeah, I appreciate all the work that went into the priorities. So thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for forcing us to think.
Yeah.
Well, and
You've done a great job thinking.
Some people try to use more stickies.
Yep.
Color stickies.
it was important though. It was a great experience for us to work alongside town staff too.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
And have their thought process through the whole thing too, because now they get to implement.
They get a direct hand and implement what those action items, things that they're now
Ownership, I like it.
that I recommend.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I so move. I move to approve resolution number 34-2025, resolution adopting 2026 to 2028 strategic priorities.
I second.
A motion and a second. Ms. Erickson.
Yeah, the voting thing is not possible.
In the right tab?
Yeah. Yeah. I vote yes.
Okay, you can say that in the mic and then I can check it for you.
I vote yes.
Thank you.
At least you didn't vote aye.
There you go.
My chance.
That motion passes 5-0.
Thank you.
Senior maintenance staff. Developing strategic objectives, support the programs.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
again, John.
Thank you again.
John, will you be at the CML meeting?
Well, not
You were missing one?
Yeah,
Okay,
I go up to CCCMA, so I get to pick one of the two.
okay. Well, we'll miss you.
Thank you.
All right, next up, resolution 35, 2025, resolution declaring a vacancy on the town council and outlining an appointment process. Ms. Hogan.
Good evening, council. I'm just introducing to you Resolution 35, 2025, and based on direction given at the last council meeting, this was drafted so that it will officially declare a vacancy on town council, specifically council member at large. And it identifies council's intent to fill that vacancy via appointment. It outlines an appointment process similar to the last appointment process undertaken in 2023. Should council pass this resolution, public notice will be posted in the Tri-Lakes Tribune on May 20th and June 9th. I'm sorry, May 28th and June 4th. And we will put it on our website under council and commissioning openings. There's a webpage for that. We will push it out on all of our social media platforms, and the public notice will identify the vacancy, identify the qualifications, and ask interested parties to submit resumes, letters of interest, and affidavits affirming that they meet all the qualifications to the town clerk by, there's a deadline. It would be 5 p.m. June 9th. Those documents will be presented in your June 16th town council packet, and each individual submitting those documents will be invited to that council meeting where they could be interviewed or whatever the format you would want at that meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. Any comments or questions for Ms. Hogan from the council about the process and what's going to proceed? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 35-2025, resolution declaring a vacancy on town council and outlining an appointment process.
Second.
Motion is second. That motion passes 5-0. Next up, we have an ordinance repealing and readopting Title II of the Monument Municipal Code. Ordinance 08-2025. This is a public hearing item. Will you be running this one, Rebecca?
I am available for any remaining questions and wanted to cover those before you open it up to the public.
Okay. Anything major change since the last time?
Nope. Just the clarifications that were requested by the town council.
And those were given out to us via email,
Yes.
right? Okay. Any comments or questions from the council before I open the public hearing? Okay, this public hearing item, we'll open up to public. Is there anybody here in the public who would like to speak for or against this ordinance? Seeing none. Will, do we have anybody online?
No hands raised online, Mayor. No hands
Okay.
raised.
Then I'll bring it back. We'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the council for further discussion or motion.
And I did want to point out, Mr. Mayor, that there was the outstanding question based on the previous question in the memo to make sure that you wanted the mayoral powers to stay as is, or if there were any changes that you wanted in case of emergency.
Oh, does anybody want changes? Well, now if no one brought up any changes to you, correct?
No, they did not. So just wanted to make sure that you were good with how the status quo was.
I think we're good. Otherwise, someone would have brought it up, right? Okay.
I will make a motion to approve ordinance number 08/2025, an ordinance repealing and readopting Title II of the Monument Municipal Code.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. That motion passes 5-0. All right, next up, we have a discussion item. Hiring a staff attorney. This town manager.
Good evening, council. This was a conversation that we began at the town council and leadership retreat. We discussed as a way to help with our attorney fees, perhaps lower them, that we would look at potentially hiring a staff attorney. This would not replace Mr. Cole. We would still retain his firm to be the town's attorney. The staff attorney would be responsible for many of the items related to the code update, any reviewing of any basic contracts, just more of the kind of everyday legal work that we have as a way to save some costs that we're spending with our existing firm. So I just wanted to bring this discussion back in a council meeting to see what the direction, if any, was to pursue this.
Well, I think at the retreat, we brought up the concept of low-hanging fruit and someone on staff to handle that kind of stuff so that we could save some money. And I mean, I personally don't, I'm sitting in Jim's seat and I know how he felt. He wanted a staff attorney, period. That was it. I think that we need Mr. Cole for certain things and Rebecca, Mr. Cole and firm. But I think that it would be very, very good on our part to try to find someone who would be able to handle whatever we deign to be not heavy duty lifting.
I see two things to piggyback on what you just said. One, it's fiscally responsible. And two, it focuses Bob and his minions on the really important stuff. And not that they're distracted, but it focuses them and we have someone to what we call choke control here in the town for the low hanging fruit. So, excuse me, I like the idea very much.
You think better without all that facial hair, huh?
I know, but it's coming back. I promise.
So two questions. First, how would the two interact with one another, correspondence wise, or just looking over? Would Mr. Cole and team provide oversight for that person that we would hire? And then number two is, would we go through the process of taking on someone for like a 6-month trial period and then look at extending that pending on their work?
That's up to us on all accounts. We don't have to hire someone that requires oversight. We can also work with Bob to establish some guidelines as to what areas there's a delineation. These kind of things would be done by the staff attorney. These other things would rise up to Bob and his team, but they report to us. All attorneys report to the council. And if we do have a reason to send the attorney up the chain to Bob and his staff, then the expense is no longer saved, because then they have to review things at their hourly rate. So what I would like to do, though, is have Bob and his staff create a job description for the staff attorney that would show those lines of delineation, the areas of expertise that we would want from a on-staff municipal attorney. Certainly, we don't want someone who has zero municipal experience, and also assist with the process of getting them hired. Obviously we're doing the interviewing, but I want some expertise in that.
Well, and so I'm going to defer a little bit to Madeline because she has more of the day-to-day contact with attorneys. So I'm assuming that there's a lot of general legal advice that would be done on a day-to-day basis that would help along here in the town.
Yeah, so some examples would be looking at any of our contracts. So contracts that come forward to us usually need council review. So those would be items that we would ask the staff attorney to look at. Code interpretation, simple things that aren't some of the bigger, more complex issues that we're currently working on. Making sure that we are in the process of rewriting a lot of our code so that it complies with the charter. So that would be still a large project that someone would need to work on. But those are the kind of things that we had in mind, where would be at a less of an hourly rate, if you will, than Mr. Cole's firm.
Sure. Because, Mr. Cole's done an excellent job for us. But we do have a lot of complicated things, and we have in the past. And so I certainly don't want to chase him away. And by the same token, I mean, we're dealing with some fiscal issues that, as everybody else is right now, that we need to get a handle on. So if that's something that would benefit the town overall, I would be up for that.
And do we have an cost estimation of savings with this? And
So we spent largely last year around, I want to say it was around $400,000 on legal fees with Mr. Cole's firm. A staff attorney would be a hiring range of around 180 to 210, somewhere in that range is what we'd expect that we would pay. So we would still have additional legal fees on top of that by utilizing Mr. Cole's firm. So it's hard to say right now exactly what those savings would be, and we have been doing a good job of lowering our legal fees over the last couple of months. But earlier this year they were quite high. So just as a way to try to kind of curtail those costs a little bit, but I couldn't give you an exact savings, maybe 100 to potentially 200,000 over a year. We would still have to use like our water attorney. Some of our land use issues are fairly complex right now, so we'd probably still have to use Mr. Cole's firm for those kind of issues still.
Well, I'd be up for exploring the idea.
So direction would be for, I guess, to start preparing. I mean, we can do some of this via email with the council as to job description, things like that. And once we've all settled in on what the financials look like, then we can do a resolution to. Do we need a resolution to open a job opening or no? All right, let's take our time. Let's be methodical about it and just continue providing updates to council as to the progress. And if you need to, I mean, we can discuss it during our one-on-ones and things like that.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, public comment. Individuals attending in person may raise their hand to indicate their desire to comment. Individuals attending via Teams may raise their hand digitally to comment via connected devices. Please lower your hand when finished with your comments. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Is there anybody here who would like to make a public comment? Peanut gallery is quiet tonight. Anybody online, Will?
No hands raised, Mayor.
Okay. Then the town manager's favorite section, future agenda item authorization.
We were skipping just to 12 inches.
Just a few items tonight. Mr. Ungerleider has requested to see if we can have a town council and a planning commission joint study session on Monday, July 21st at 5:00 PM for working with the comprehensive plan, moving forward with that next step.
July what?
July 21st,
Right, and this, if I recall, you said 5 PM.
5 PM. Mhm.
I mean, I'm fine with it, but obviously there's going to be some folks that may be here a little bit late due to travel from the far out corners of the county.
Potentially.
Is it with you though that day?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just at 5 though, instead of 6:30.
It's prior to a regular town council meeting.
I think it's important. It needs to happen because we haven't had one, in quite some time.
We had one right at the kickoff of the comprehensive plan. So this would be, I believe it's going over existing conditions is this next step.
Okay, we're good.
And then the next item came as a request from one of our council members, Councilmember Chronic, to just kind of go over the process of submitting board reports for the various different boards that you sit on. So we can add the board reports to any agenda item. We just need you to send those in to us. And I'll follow up with an email on what those deadlines would be to make sure that it gets into the packet. There is also an opportunity, during, we might just create the next session that says town manager report. We might just call that reports, and you can report out verbally if you'd prefer to on any of the meetings that you're attending. So just wanted to kind of bring that back to the front of mind that we still have that opportunity to report out. And those are my only items for tonight.
Okay.
I
Yes.
would like to add one future item for authorization. And that's to embed in the calendar dates for the town manager's appraisal. If we talk about we need to talk about the process and having that embedded in the calendar already, so we don't have to jump through hoops at the end of the year.
Okay, so direction to HR to figure out backwards the dates out so that we have time to coincide with budget season. Make sure we appropriate the town manager role. Okay. Good idea.
Yeah, good, thanks.
Speaking of town manager reports,
So we thought it would be a really nice addition to add these to the council packets because I do really appreciate the effort that staff is putting into making these reports so nice. It's also an opportunity to kind of call out some of the important work that we're doing. So for the April town manager report, it is in your packet, but I do want to point out that we did have a very successful leadership and town council retreat, and I appreciate your time in making both of those days very successful for us. I do want to acknowledge that several staff were recognized at the Chamber of Commerce annual dinner. We've begun work on the energy savings project for this building in 259 and the Public Works building. We are continuing work, as you just voted on tonight, with the strategic plan, the Monument 2040 comprehensive plan, and the impact fee and fee studies. There's a new sidewalk along Beacon Lite Rd that was just completed. Public Works is all getting ready for summer, and water has been diligently working to replace valves and new meters, and they also helped with a fire system leak in this building that was really helpful to us because we thought we were going to have to put a new roof on this building. So just some highlights out of the April report that I wanted to call the public's attention to. So I hope that this format is okay for future meetings, but I just want to acknowledge the hard work that our staff is doing.
yeah, great format. And we already brought up that you were business person of the year, correct? If not, If not, we should state it publicly that you had some stiff competition but you were nominated and awarded Business Person of the Year for the Tri-Lakes Chamber of Commerce. So congratulations to that. And congrats to Officer Kelly Fisher for being nominated. That was pretty cool.
And Lori.
And Lori, right? And I do like the format. You were going to put another section in here too. You brought it up to all of council that council you would either have a section about what council was doing or something along those lines.
That was the annual report.
Oh, the
that I wanted to be sure we had a section for council, but I'm definitely open to suggestions for our monthly report as well.
Maybe quarterly.
Annually is fine with me.
Semi-annually.
So I'll rely on you getting me that information
Okay.
as to what you would like to see in that report then.
Perfect. Okay, then next up is council comments. Any members of the council have any comments that they want to bring up?
My comment is to take a little bit of the load off of Madeline with the council reports and just put them annually because we're videoed every single meeting. So.
Wait, you want to get rid of the monthly?
I don't think, no, I'm just talking about for council. She had said she was going to put it in the annual report. I'm good with that, but if you guys want to do it more frequently, that's fine too. I just, we're on video for every meeting, so.
Whatever, then don't submit anything. Makes no difference to me. We can do it annually, or if there's something important that comes up that we want the community to know about, we can do that too.
Yeah.
Next time Marco shaves his beard. All right, well, that concludes the regularly scheduled meeting. We are going to go into 2 executive sessions, and we will not be coming out of those and back into public. There's no decisions to be made. So that being said,
I make a motion to move into executive session pursuant to 24-6-402 sub 4 sub B CRS for a conference with the town attorney to receive legal advice on specific legal questions regarding the intergovernmental agreements with Tri-View Metropolitan District.
motion,
Second.
we have a motion and a second. And we need another motion for the other.
And I move into executive session pursuant to 24. Oh, sorry. I voted aye in case you're.
That's your problem.
All right, the first motion passes to 5-0.
May I proceed, sir?
Please.
I
I
move,
didn't stop you. It was the town clerk that smacked you down.
I make a motion to move into executive session pursuant to 24-6-402 sub 4 sub B CRS for a conference with the town attorney to receive legal advice on specific legal questions and pursuant to 24-6-402 sub 4 sub E CRS to determine positions relative to matters that may be subject to negotiation, developing strategy for negotiations, and instructing negotiators, both regarding potential annexations.
Second.
Motion and a second. That motion passes 5-0. We will take a 5-minute recess so we can let everybody out. And if council could pass back their town manager agreement.
I'll make a motion for Eric to bring those flowers up to his wife.
Oh, that's nice.
We're annexing, we're flagpoling all the way out to your house.
What does that go to? Election over here.